Good morning, good afternoon.
Morning.
Hello.
I noticed that Rob created the meeting minutes for this session, but yeah, and there's no topics added to that.
I have topics. I
You do?
was not aware that we have those minutes, so I would like to share some things.
Yeah, for sure. Just to let you know, so before the meeting starts, Rob offered to create this pull request. Let me show you. This pull request I'm putting in the chat, and this is in an effort to have a little bit of like organized content before the meeting. And the way that we separate it is makes it easier for people to locate where's what. So.
Yeah, Jessica, I do have an agenda kind of made up for this meeting. It's actually in the other pull request.
So whose pull request is?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, maybe I'll try and organize it better in the future and keep it all in one.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Yeah, which pull request?
It's the pull request for the previous meeting
For the
that
14?
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, my thought there was that we would basically put up the meeting minutes for the previous meeting, but also keep
What's
the
coming next?
keep the agenda open
Yeah.
for the next one, so then people can go in and add if they would like. But
Uh-huh.
if that's confusing, I can change that too.
Whatever you guys want. I mean, this is your meeting, and yeah, I mean, whatever works for you guys. I'm okay with any way that you prefer. But yeah, whichever you guys prefer, it's up to you.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I let Hendrik take it over.
So actually, I have no clue about the agenda because I was not aware that we have that file, right? So maybe it's better than when Rob reads us through the agenda, if that is okay for him, because I don't know any of those points. What I can say is I have 2 points with me. Let's see if we find time for it or we'll do it next week. So one point is I already told Rob and Simi, I did a lot of prototyping based on some discussions I had with Richard in the past and created, how to say it. So I created a parallel Java SDK that does, some things different than our current SDK. I would say better, and that is better from a developer experience point of view, and maybe even from performance. I would give an introduction to that. And the other thing is with the work we did in the Hiero solo action, we're now at a point where I'm able to do one call by just using Docker to set up a full network on my machine with 0 dependencies instead of Docker that I can use to run manual integration tests again, which is really nice for SDK and application and library developers because it works exactly from the endpoints like the solo GitHub action. And with that setup, you could even do it then, write code and test it in an airplane without having internet, which is quite nice. Yeah, those are my two points I would like to add.
All right. Go ahead and add those. I think we'll probably be able to get to them. I think the previous things on the agenda uh well, at least the dual publishing of the SDKs and the office hours we've already kind of been through. So I think those are more just kind of any updates there. And then uh I added some upcoming hips that I just wanted to kind of talk about and go over really quick. And then it'll be pretty much open after that for you to talk about that stuff. Do we know if, let's see, do we know if Roger was joining the call or not? I know because he was working on the dual publishing of the SDKs, and I think he got them um in a good spot, and I think we're pretty good to go on those. I think we were gonna try and start the first dual publish for the first release next week. Um, I don't know if he has any other updates on that, but or if anyone else has any other updates on that. But that's kind of the last I've heard of it.
Yeah, I can speak to this first. I can speak to part of it. So I think what we're pending is the public announcements. So it's something that Mikhail's working on. So we're going to be publishing the announcement in two places, the Hiero blog and the Hedera blog. So I think we've put up I mean, I don't know if you saw that, Jessica. We put up a draft. I mean, I didn't. Michael put up a draft on the Hiero blog Friday.
Yes.
So I think that has to be reviewed, and then we put that up there, and then we'll also publish on the Hedera blog. I think that will. I mean, so I think that's the public part, the announcement, and then we should check with. So as far as I understand, then the adult publishing will start.
Okay, and those blog posts have been reviewed and are pretty much good to go.
Yes. Let me see where that is sitting right now.
Yeah, there was a pull request. I'm just looking at it. So
Okay.
yeah, we have a pull request for it. So Keith, I will have a look. Not today, but I will put it on my map for tomorrow, and can give you a review on it, so that we can merge that. Is this Keith, for you, when I say, oh yeah, everything is great, no change here, should I just merge it?
Yeah, that was the confusing part. At least I don't understand the process for the Hiero blog about what the review or approval process looks like. So obviously
Yeah.
on the PR we put up was a blog that's already been reviewed and approved and was ready for the Hedera blog. So my assumption is that it's good to go for the Hiero blog. I mean, based on internal hash graph approvals. Now, if there's like more like community approvals or stuff like that, I don't know, but I think the PR is. I mean, you can review it, Hendrik, provide your comments, but I think it's ready to go.
The
That's
banner
great.
is still missing, so I'm gonna just update it in the next hour, and then it's ready for your review, Henrik.
And that's why I'm laughing, Keith. So we had exactly the same point last week when Sophie, Jessica, and I talked about we have some blog posts coming from Python. What is the workflow here? And what we decided is, I mean, it's a project that we have, it's a repo that we have. So we need to define committers and maintainers for the website repo. And like for any other repo, one of those persons then have the rights to do the merge. Currently, it's only the security group and the TSC group, and that's not how it should be. And everybody, feel yourself invited if you are interested to cross-week blog posts to help here, so that we can add you at least as a committer to that project, because I agree with Keith. We don't want to create a big process here, but it should be fitting to what we have. So that's why I said, Keith, I can review it, and should I just publish it or merge it when it's there. And I hope that in a week or two we have some more people that can do exactly that, because I don't want to be the the person here with the you know, only rights to do that. Yeah, Keith.
Yeah, I would just say that, obviously reviewing and approving blogs is it's a marketing skill set. I mean,
I agree.
so typically, yeah, so so preferably, like, whoever that is maybe comes from our DevRel team or from our marketing or product marketing team, because they have that skill set. So maybe, Henrik, sorry, I dropped out just for a second, I lost internet, but maybe we can talk to somebody if they want to take that responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, we want to set up a marketing subcommittee or something anyway, right? And from my point of view, all those people should have committer rights on the website then. Yeah, totally fine with that.
Did we have someone on? It seemed like I saw Mikhail's Slack message about kind of the schedule for the um announcements and releases and stuff. Is he the person that maybe we want kind of leading this, or someone else?
I'm not sure. I think we should have that. Well, I would say it like this. I think, Hendrik, if you're planning to already start a marketing committee, that would be, to me, the starting point. Like, who's going to be on that marketing subcommittee, and, like, I guess maybe specifically who from Hashgraph is going to be on it. Because to me, those would be the probably the people that would then be, in charge of maintaining and improving blogs.
So we do have upcoming the Hiero website community call. It's public in the calendar, and I believe it starts next week. So if you guys want, we can talk about it in that call and come up to a decision there.
Yeah, and regarding the marketing subcommittee, keys for you. So I had some discussions here. First, it should be synchronized with the Linux Foundation because they have a marketing committee and they would like to be included. And I talked with Sarah about that, and currently the idea is that Chase Gordon, who's doing, like the social media things and stuff like that. And I assume a lot of other things at Hashgraph, that he will be a person that will be in those calls. That is my current kind of what I know so far, and I hope to find some time this week or next week to move this further and maybe do the first call with the Linux Foundation. There are some people who said they are interested in general in being in it with Chase, and I'm still hope that I get somebody named from LimeChain that is interested in joining it to, have it more companies that are joining this event. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is the SDK call, so I think we can probably move this to a different discussion. But more other comment, because I think this did come up in the context of this blog, is that, not only do we need, I mean, I think it's great to get more people involved, but specifically around blogs, I think we do want, like, a human being who's the reviewer who can do a turnaround in a reasonable time frame, like maybe 48 hours or 72 hours. In conversations with Jessica, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Jessica, the Linux marketing team sounds like they're very busy, so they would have a very long review process. Like, we'd have to create a ticket. I don't know. But anyways, I think that's just one of the contexts is, like, what is the turnaround time we want for review and approval of blogs, and then who are the people that can provide that kind of turnaround time.
So I totally agree. Why we have them here is because they are very interested in the LFDT blog, so they want to be in the subcommittee, however you want to call it, about that. And so when talking about the marketing committee, yeah, blog and social media is important, but where we really have a blocker at the moment, and that is why LF, and in best case people from like LimeChain should join too, is when it comes to at what conferences we want to attend. Should there somewhere an Hiero booth? Will somebody talk at a conference about Hiero? If yes, who pays for traveling? Do we have Hiero shirts? Do we have Hiero stickers? Who's paying for that swag? So my wish is, and that's why I, included Sarah and LF marketing, that we get a fund, whatever that is. And that is a fund where the Hiero marketing committee can decide how that fund is spent. That would be, and not, ask all the companies, oh, who's able to pay the $400 to print 100 stickers? We need somebody. Can somebody please do that? To get away from that. That is the main topic why we started it. And now with the blog, I think it's just a good fit to put that under the umbrella of the marketing committee. Yeah. But I agree, it's not the goal that LF marketing people review what we do on the Hiero blog. In best case, that's just somebody from us, maybe 10 people who just has time, do it, and boom, it's online. Cool.
Hendrik, to add to that. So I wrote one of the recent posts, and for me, one of the blockers that was affecting me is the design of the images. So the background images where it's like Hiero, and you have the title of the blog post, and this is in a reddish background.
Yeah.
I can't create that very well.
I understand that, and that is another point where I hope the marketing committee then has templates or whatever. And that is one point where we now have this website bi-weekly meetings to hack ways together to make all the things as easy as possible. So that would be one point where I would assume we sit together in one of those website community meetings and create it together, and in best case find an open way with a short documentation. This is how you can create a thumbnail for your post. Oh, and if you cannot create one or don't have the resources to do it, here are 15 generic thumbnails, just choose one from them. That would be like a lightweight solution from my point of view, where we should hopefully end after the first or second meeting. Does that make sense, Sophie?
Yeah, I think that's good. I'll definitely be attending. That sounds useful. I think when you write the blog and you try and create a pull request, you realize there's a couple of other niggles that you haven't thought about. So yeah, that sounds great.
So is this gonna be a meeting that you were gonna set up, Hendrik, or were we gonna
We
use?
already have it. It's Jessica already took care about it, or will take care about it. So we already decided when it should happen, and it will be in the calendar. I cannot set it up. I don't have
It's
the AF calendar.
Monday. I think it's starting next Monday. It's in the public calendar.
Oh, that's like that's the website meeting you were talking about.
Yes, it is like at 8 a.m. Pacific. So it would be like after the solo action community call.
Gotcha. Okay. So no additional actions need to be taken to kind of set this up.
No,
it's already set up. I mean, if you guys want anybody that it's registered to that meeting that must be there, I can add them. But the meeting is open for anybody to join.
Great. Sounds good. All right, I see that Roger and Andrew are on now. We were talking about the dual publishing of the SDKs. I think for the most part, I think we're good to go there. I don't know if Roger or Andrew, you had any more updates there or wanted to speak to that. I think I saw that we're gonna try our first dual publish release next week.
Yeah, so I think that we're in pretty good shape there. And I know Simi put together a meeting for next Tuesday to get me and Andrew involved with the people doing the releases, so that we can ensure everything goes smoothly. I am debating right now if I want to do the first dual publish manually. So obviously keep the publish to the original places happening as they do today, but then manually publishing out to the new spots and then updating workflows for the last piece that they go and do all the time. And I guess that's the only open topic that I have. I mean, we can configure it to start dual publishing automatically now, or we can set it manually the first time.
Yeah, so the thought just kind of like you do it manually the first time just to, work out any kinks that may show up, and then after that, we can work out those kinks and have it go automatically.
Yeah, so the workflows are in place to do it automatically, but yeah, that's exactly the thought, Rob. Should we do it manually just to make sure that what's in the workflow goes smoothly?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's smart. Yeah, sounds good. I saw that we were providing migration docs for the dual publishing SDKs. Uh are those gonna be part of the Hiero and Hedera blogs, Keith? Are people gonna know where those are and be able to access those? Do you know?
When you say will people know where they are, I mean it'll be on the Hedera blog and the Hiero blog. And I think the plan is over time we'd also be pinging them, like linking them on social media, Discord, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Is that you mean, Robert?
Yeah. I know they're kind of buried in the repos. May not be immediately seen or accessible. So I just want to make sure that people will be able to access those and not have
Yeah,
to do long looking.
I think my major concern is that at least for the Java one is that we're going to we're publishing well in advance. We're publishing at the start of the dual publishing period. 9 months from now is good when it's going to be really important that people we remind people regularly that they need to do this action, and in particular towards the end of the period we really need to start reminding them. So I think we still need to work with the marketing team on what those reminders look like, but the public blogs and all with the core information will be published.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds good.
Also, sorry, Rob.
Go ahead.
So for the first dual publish, one thing just came to mind. Why don't we do it like not when we are releasing a stable version, but the first time in order to try the new workflows, just do it like in the middle of the sprint and try like a test release, something like a beta or something like that, just to be safe.
Yeah, just almost kind of just like a test release in a way.
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to set something up like that, we can work together on that, Georgie. That'd be totally fine. I've got some time.
Yeah, it sounds fine. And then after we verify it, we can go ahead and do, for example, the next publish via the workflow.
There are
That sounds good.
some questions in the chat from Angelina, who asked, do you have a mock-up? And I'm wondering if maybe we can use tools like Fiber, Next, or Sui. I don't know any of those tools, just wanted to put it in because I assume Angelina cannot talk. So I just want to make you aware of those comments in the blog. No idea if that is what that means, to be fair.
I can. I'm just not sure anybody was familiar with those tools. I didn't know if anybody had a mock-up, and in all honesty, I wasn't sure if those tools would even help us achieve the goal we were having. I'm trying to get an idea of it in my head, so an example or like a design if someone had one, just to see if those tools would even be something that we could even try to use to achieve our goals. But again, just an idea.
Sorry, this was like a mock-up for the blog posts? Or
For what Sophie was
what was this mock-up
mentioning,
for?
it was the blog post titles to the background slides. She mentioned it having a potential way to have this done automatically. So I didn't know if there was like a mock-up or just like an example, not within the Hiero scope, just an example pertaining to something different that also aligns with a goal that we had for those background slides. But if there's no mock-up, that's fine.
So Fiber, Next, and 3, I was assuming that is about the dual publishing. So Fiber, Next, and 3 has nothing to do with dual publishing.
Okay, not a problem.
Oh, then my fault. Sorry about that. Okay.
Yeah, I remember for one of my projects, I have like a Google slide. What's it called? The equation things where you can take a JavaScript function and then it automatically converts to slides. I think so. You could probably automate that, but you know that's if we have like more posts and things like this. Yeah, just to add to that, Angie. I think we can work on it maybe in the website meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say that might be something good to bring up in those meetings. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was my fault, Rob. Sorry, I was thinking this Fiber, Next, and 3 has something to do maybe with dual publishing in JavaScript or
Yeah, no,
something.
I was the same way. So
Yeah.
you're not alone.
Oh, sorry. I actually, in all honesty, I recently just came across some of them. I was just dabbling in them because I noticed that those tools offered pretty good animations and just user interactivity all around. So I didn't know if this was something that we could integrate into that. Just an idea. I'm sorry. I probably should have provided more context.
Oh, no, it's fine. No, I'm glad you brought them up. If you think they could help us out, then yeah, we should definitely look into them. Cool. Let's see. So I think do anyone have any other things to talk about for the dual publishing? Or are we good to go on to the next topic? All right, cool. So I think last meeting we were talking about the Python SDK office hours. There was a survey that went out to try and gather some more information from users about kind of what they would want that to look like and what would be uh, best for them, or like to have them get the most out of that. So did you have any more information on that, Sophie? Have you gotten a good amount of responses?
Yes, we got a few responses. It was pretty interesting, the results. We spoke a little about it in the recent Python meeting as well that was held on Wednesday. And the results show that the majority of the users want like quite a supportive meeting. So for example, where you would break down a pull request and like hands-on sort of help, but also maybe some theoretical help learning about how to create SDKs for distributed ledgers. And we got from the form some guidance on the times. The most popular sort of times are weekdays and in the evening UTC. I've created a blog post that is not published yet. It's a draft, and it announces the Python SDK office hour. I'm still working on getting a time that works best with the maintainers, but we have a lot of the pieces, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll be able to get started on that. Thanks for asking. that's I'm really excited for it. We already have quite a few new starters. I think the week before last we had 4 new starters, and this week we had another 2. So it's getting pretty active. And with that, one of the things that I want to do is to try and help create more supportive infrastructure. And I think having the office hour will be a great thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know if we have any questions with that.
Yeah. Do you have all the support that you need to get these office hours set up and just get everything going properly? I think you said you were working with Jessica last time on this.
Yeah, thanks to Jessica, I was able to create the form and get the right questions on there and help get started with the blogging. So that's been really great. Going forward, I think that the only thing I'm waiting on is to get a firm day and time. And then one of the things that we were discussing in the Python meeting last week is the possibility of one day having a general Hiero community call that focuses on teaching more of the sort of reusable technical concepts on how to build for a distributed ledger SDK. So we discussed and we realized, oh, actually, yes, we can do an office hour. We can do these hands-on sessions where we help guide new starters through the specifics of the Python SDK. But there are some things that are also common in other SDKs. For example, how to what function the nodes are and how to connect with them and what the protobufs are. All of these concepts that we just raised the idea, but that's something to discuss. I guess that one day it could be good to have a broader technical session. I don't think they need to be very often, but yeah, that's something that we discussed. But that's not a blocker. I just have to get the timings and then I think we can go. Jessica has already told me I need to give about 2 weeks notice through the blog. So yeah, we're looking
In
hopefully
the email addresses of the people that need to be invited. I think that's the other thing that was missing.
Oh yeah, the email addresses. Yeah, so that's something, and the final decision with the hours.
Great. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I think like a technical meeting like that to teach users just about all aspects of Hiero could be really useful and really helpful to onboard new users and developers. Yeah, I like that a lot. Um, all right. Any anything else about the office hours? I think it sounds like you're pretty good to go on that.
From me.
Cool. All right. So next was upcoming hips. I just wanted to spend a moment just to talk about the designs coming through for the SDKs with these new hips. So we have 3, well, kind of 2.5 in a way, upcoming hips. The hip 1139 is a hip that is meant to allow topics to become fully immutable. So basically, just you fill a topic with data or messages, and you basically make it so that no longer or no messages can be submitted to it anymore, and it just can't change. So we had a design for this approved last week. There's actually not any real changes in the SDK as far as functionality goes. It's more just enabling or adding a couple different tests to our SDKs to test this functionality. So yeah, so again, we got this approved last week, but yeah. So if anyone is curious about kind of what was part of this HIP, they can go ahead and look through here and kind of see what the changes we're making are and the tests we're adding. There was also HIP 1195, which is Hiero hooks. This is basically, as far as I actually haven't been able to spend too much time looking through this. But from kind of how I understand it is that we're basically adding functionality in Hiero that will allow users to customize certain entity behavior. I know that's kind of a broad sentence, I suppose, but um, so yeah, we can, you can look through the HIP here to kind of gather more info. But their design for this is currently being worked on. Um, I think it's still kind of unclear exact. I guess I don't necessarily know how far along this HIP is, but I think there will be SDK implementation that will be necessary to make use of this. So yeah, that's kind of coming down the line.
Robert, on HIP 1195, yeah, so it's approved. I think it's scheduled for I can't remember, release 66 or release. So it's coming. So yeah, we should probably get a design doc together for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Simi opened that issue in the collaboration hub to come up with the design for that. Um, so I think, yeah, we'll try and get that going in the next week or two. Um, there's that, and then the last one was an update for HIP 991. So that was the HIP that allowed users to charge fees for submitting to topics. And basically they're updating the HIP to add this max custom fees field to scheduled transactions. So this was something that was added in that HIP to transactions that allowed a user to basically say like, I don't want to pay more than, this certain amount of token or H bar to, submit on this topic. So the update here is just we're adding that to scheduled transactions too. So you schedule a topic message submit transaction, you'll be able to specify the max custom fees in that too. There is currently a design doc open for this if anyone wanted to take a look. There's no new APIs, at least how the design is currently uh, specified. It's mostly just internal changes, just um, adding adding this field that was already added as a part of the HIP, and just populating the associated protobuf message as a part of that. But yeah, if there's any questions on that, if anyone want to take a look, the design doc is currently in the hub to take a look at. So yeah, that's all I had for upcoming HIPs. Yeah, Keith.
You didn't mention. I mean, I don't think you mentioned HIP 1139. Is that something? Who has been working on 1139?
So 1139, we had the design approved for that last week. I think Ivan came up with a design for that. Um, but yeah, I don't think there'll be any changes to the SDKs there. Those are mostly just going to be tests that we're adding just to test the new functionality. Because there was already the support in the SDKs to be able to submit dead keys. So now it's just a matter of, since that's enabled on the consensus node side, to be able to submit for the consensus node to receive dead keys as a part of a topic update for their admin and submit keys. We're just testing that behavior. We're
Yeah.
adding SDK to test
So
that.
I think that's a miss. So I mean, we're actually like from Friday, actually HIP 1139 is under revision, but even so, the miss would have been that HIP 1139 as written today, and it's going to be, I actually worked on a rewrite of it, but even as it's written today, the new functionality is that a submit key can rotate itself or to a dead key or to an active key in the absence of an admin key. So that is actually new functionality. Also, there is new functionality around like an admin key can rotate itself to a dead key, which means it doesn't sign itself. Like, normally you sign with the old key and the new key, but under this pattern, you only sign with the old key. So I don't know if that, sorry, I'm on my phone, so I don't know if that's in the design doc, but I mean, those are some of the deltas I saw for the SDK.
Yeah, no, sorry. When I said no new functionality, I meant on the SDK side. I think the SDKs currently support users trying to do that. It's just if they tried to do that before this HIP, then they would just, get met back with like a fail response code of some kind. But basically the SDKs offered this functionality already. It's just if a user tried to do it before, they would just get a failure. But now if they try to do it, the that functionality is enabled on the consensus node side now, so they wouldn't get an error code back. And I believe all of our tests that we added as a part of this design doc cover those cases.
Okay, I'll review this document again and see if there's any new deltas. So cool, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, actually, thanks for bringing that up. Actually, I saw that there were some changes to 1139. So I guess maybe we'll kind of hold off on this for now. I think I saw that it was originally scheduled for release 64, but I think it got delayed to 65. Um, so I think maybe yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. I'm sure Simi will as well, and let us know if there's any significant changes we need to make here.
Yeah, I guess just my confusion from what you said was like you said so let's just take the example like today for a topic, a submit key cannot update itself. Like you can only update it by signing with the admin key. So that was never functionality present in terms of our documentation or so I think what you're saying though is that like that functionality was present in the SDK. It was just not allowed by the consensus node. Is that
Yeah,
can I understand that as your meaning?
yeah, the functionality was allowed in the sense that a user could try to do that. Like there is nothing on the SDK preventing them from trying to do that. But yeah, if they tried to do that and they submitted, they would just get met with an error code back. So yeah, when I say new functionality, it's purely from the consensus node side of the consensus node allowing you SDK users to do that now.
Okay, that makes sense. So thank you for that. And then the only other comment I make is that something that did come up in our review is that there's actually two ways to set a key as unusable. One is to set it as a dead key, which is basically a bunch of zeros. But the other way, which we kind of missed in the HIP, was that you can also set it as a zero, like an empty key list. So that was something that we implemented for tokens, or I don't understand, but like maybe that was something that it's always been present, is that you can set something to an empty key list. So that's something that's being added to the HIP as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. Do we, I guess, maybe have more documentation available on that somewhere? Like people might see dead key and they're just like, what is that?
Yeah, I agree. So I'm working on the HIP. I do think that probably our docs in my testing, I also feel like the docs need a review and some touch-ups. Like certainly when we talk about empty key list, that's not something I think well covered in our docs about how you set an empty key list. So I think like these are some deltas we need improvements in the documentation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that'd be good for people to know for sure. Have that out there somewhere. Okay, cool. Anything else on any of the hips? Oh, I guess this isn't necessarily a hip, but there's a new response code being introduced as well. This NFT transfer is only one, so SDKs will need to add that at some point too. But that should be a minimal change. Great. So I guess Hendrik, did you want to share your prototype? Did you want to take over the screen share? Are you there, Hendrik?
Yeah, and I'm talking and talking, but I was muted, you know. So since with the time that is left, I'm just asking if we should move the prototype maybe to the next one, and I show this Docker setup because when I said it, Sophie directly said, "Oh yeah, I would like to see that," and I assume that is already, or that is way earlier usable and way earlier interesting for all SDK people than the other one. So maybe we should have a look at that and postpone the SDK prototype to an upcoming meeting.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll add it to the first item to the agenda for the next
Yeah.
meeting.
So let me share my screen. Dum, 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 dum. Yeah, I think I just share my full screen. That's the best. Let's see. So, so what we have so far is currently part of the Hiero Solo action. Don't belong perfectly into that repository, but we wanted to get a prototype. So in the Hiero Solo action, there is currently this local folder that contains everything that is needed to run a local instance of what we did with the Hiero Solo action. And it already has a documentation where even a lot of things can be set and so on. So what it does in general, let me open Visual Studio Code, because here I'm in the folder and I have already the README opened. And if I now go and create a terminal here, so as said, everything is Docker based. So the only two you need to have installed on your machine is Docker. Oh, I need to go into the local folder first. Give me a second. Here we go. And now I can build the image that is in this folder. And yeah, that's it. And now I can start that one just by, oh, that's give me a here we go. That's what is it? Sorry. That one is the command. And what this now does, it takes the Docker container that was built based on the sources in this local folder, and in that container uses Solo and kind to set up a full Solo-based network. When talking about a full network, I mean, we don't want to test consensus node, right? We want to use that to test our application. So it only contains one node. But that is enough to run any application against it. And this now takes like 2 or 3 minutes because it really sets up a Kubernetes cluster and all those things. But the good thing is I don't need to have Kubernetes installed on my machine. I don't need to have any knowledge about that. The only thing I need to have installed on my machine is Docker. And then with the commands shown in the README, you can use it just by using Docker. So far, the commands are only running on Unix-based systems. Still no idea if that will work on Windows-based systems, and if yes, what is the best way to do it. But on Windows-based system, it works, and yeah. Now we need to wait a little bit. But what we already can see is that when I go to Docker, we see here that 2 Docker containers has been started, and we can go into them and have a look at the logs and things like that. And if I go into that, I see more or less, exactly the same log as I see here in my command line, because that is the log that is coming from Docker that is already running within the Docker container. And once that is done, so the current setup that we will have, and it should be as configurable as the GitHub action and so on. So what the current setup does, it automatically creates one account in the created network with, I don't know, 100,000 HBARs or something like that, and prints out the account. So at the moment, still you need to do like copy it manually and things like that. In the future, there should be a way to receive those information programmatically from the Docker container. And then you can go to let me go to my IntelliJ, where is it? Here to any application where you have a setup, and what you need to do is connect then to a consensus node, so to an Hiero-based network with a consensus node running on your local machine on that port, that is the account ID of that consensus node. And then you can do whatever you can do with any of the SDKs we have. So that still, as you see, it takes some time to set that up. That is just what it needs to create a full cluster to set up all of that. But that works without internet, so I could, cut my internet now. The problem is then you are gone. But I can use that to set up everything, and I hope in a minute or so we will see the outcome of the account, and then we can run a live test from that. We need to wait for that, because without the information, since it's an account that is created in this Docker container, I have no idea about the private key that is used for that account, because that is generated in the Docker container too, right? So we said we need to wait a little bit. Oh, but now he is creating the account. And in a second or so, we will see the output here of the account. Here we go. So now we have created an account. Oh, okay, it says the default balance of 100 HBAR, but we have created an account. That is the account ID. That is the key that we can use, and with that we can easily, here we see the other account. Here we see everything we need to do. So what we can do now is take those information and with those information connect to any network. So let's say we go here, and here I have an example where I get the account ID and the private key currently from an env file. So instead of getting it from the env file, we can copy it. So that is our account ID, and that is our private key. Whoop. Put it here in, and we want to connect. I've created some settings already for it. It's called Hiero integration test that has this port. So when I say I want to connect against copy, against Hiero integration test, and then we create an account with a key and with some initial balance, and then freeze it, and then send and wait. And if I run that example, we will run in an exception. Why do we run an exception? I haven't tried it before with that one. Let's go here. Let me just stop sharing my screen for a second because I need to remove my original testnet account keys. And then we can have a look at the test. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Let me share it again. Show us your keys. Yeah, that's what I do. So let's have a look. Oh, go away. So here I have some dummy information. Let me copy the new generated private key. And now I can do any test like this one that, let's say here, that just has hello Hiero as a byte array and then do a create file transaction against the network. And when I run that, it goes and runs a transaction against the network. Here we see that the transaction is executed, and here we see even the transaction ID of that transaction, and that really is executed against something on my machine. So against a solo network running on my machine. And if I want to get rid of it, the easiest thing is just to throw away those two Docker containers, and then you're done. And if you want to have new one, you can just call the Docker command again, wait until you get that. Or you just keep this Docker container running while you are developing, and then all the time you can just create and execute tests, or here do like something with a larger file where we 500 times do hello Hiero in it, and I assume that will now create multiple file append transaction because the file is too big for one file create, so it adds some file append transactions to it, and that is all now just running against an Hiero network in my machine. And if we want to do something with a test that maybe makes more sense, where we say here, okay, we have hello Hiero, we create that file, so send a file create transaction against that network, and then based on the file ID, do a file read transaction against the network. We check that both is the same. So if I execute that test, that looks good, it's green. And if I now say that is read content is like a new byte array of, I don't know, something like that as an example, and now run the test, now it will be red, because what we now get back from our from the network is different than that one, right? Just to show that those tests are really working, that there was real data going over the line. It's not so much to show in a front end, right? Because it's technically and running in a Docker container, but I believe that is a quite nice improvement to make those things work easier.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with kind of how you have to, if you try to set up solo manually, like there's like a bunch of commands you have to run. And well, actually,
and it's
they did just add one quick deploy command to try and help with that.
Yeah.
Now, people that like using the solo action might find this easier to use as well too. No, that's cool. I think I'm gonna look into that and see that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I mean, the current state, as said, it will all change, I assume, become its own repo and so on. But this is the current state, and it even already has a README and so on. Yeah.
cool. So in your Hiero solo action meeting, have you already demoed this there as well, or are you planning to?
Give me just a second. I'm late for another meeting. I will say that I'll be in 2 minutes. Okay, now, sorry, what was the question, Rob?
I was just asking if you demoed this in the Hiero solo action meeting already.
No, because it's super fresh. So
Okay.
it's worked since Friday, and I send it only so far. I only sent it to Richard. It's finally working here. You can test it if you want. And this is the first time I'm showing it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, well, thanks for the demo. Yeah, we're over time now, so
Yeah.
anyway, go ahead and call a meeting here, and thanks for joining, everyone.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
See ya.